Your life?
Yeah. When you tracks.
Yeah, you just have to check. No, one day, it should be the three dots. I think it's okay. I don't know what of the two. I don't know.
Is that another light here? I think there's another something on the screen to do that. Thumbnail reasoning. Has you also been taken? This one. I put the picture. I didn't.
You want to show your
Yeah, it's hidden. I put the reasoning season picture, but something else.
you know what to show.
Yeah, it's
Not from the logo.
yeah, but I put a thumbnail. I'll show you this.
I think the seats now.
There's space. When is it? Okay, the space. can be made. Outside, what we hope is that by the end of the discussion, those stuff that we can do in You're welcome. Let's get a table for you.
Okay, let's do this table too. Is this yours? This is yours? Let's sit you. We can go straight to the table.
Let me just run to the ladies' room 1 quick second.
Right. You know the way, right?
Just the rest. Okay. You can put them on that table instead. Yeah, I'm putting that. The music will be too loud here, but this is fine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to a little late start because we had to reset from the rain outside. So we are streaming live on YouTube. I'm going to share the link now so you can share it with your family and friends, right? Okay. So it's on the Jamrock GH page, YouTube. How many of them have you? Empress will go straight to the front. Yeah.
I can feel it right here. See this pattern?
We are streaming live now.
Hey, listen.
So maybe there's
Him don't understand that.
I don't understand.
Him don't understand that. Like he said the right word.
Like a video. This is maybe about oh, 7,500. I think the same way. That's only first is on the left.
All right, everybody, we're about to get started. So come forward and get settled. ASAP. Don't hide from us. You know yourselves. Jabby, you're not coming forward. Come on. You're so far from me. So far away. All right. Awesome. So today we're having our reasoning with seasoning, because you know anything we cook up have to be seasoned. Thank you. The topic of today's conversation is generational wealth. Anybody surprised? I hope you guys are like, surprise! Generational wealth. We're going to be talking about that. I think that's something that we struggle with, you know, within our people. And it's also something we don't necessarily have enough discussions with practical solutions to the problems. So I'm hoping we can get that going today. Also checking to see what that sound is. Is everybody okay back there? Sounding alarming. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and read the bios of the guests today. Some of them are a little bit long, but they're great. So I'm going to start from that side. Professor Kambon. So, Mempo Obadeli Bakari Kambon, Nana Kwame Hebi Dati the first. Is that right? All right. He's a master linguist and founder of Abibitumi, the largest Black social education network. He earned his PhD in linguistics from the University of Ghana in 2012. winning the Vice Chancellor's Award for Best PhD Thesis. He also received the 2016 and 2024 Provost Publication Awards and the 2019 Marcus Garvey Foundation Award for Excellence in African Studies. Obenfo Kambon was awarded the 2020-2021 UNILAC Fellowship. He's an associate professor and served as head of language, literature, and drama at the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana, and editor-in-chief of the Ghana Journal of Linguistics 2016-2023. I'm still not done. He helped 160 Black diaspora members receive Ghanaian citizenship and assist others through repatriatetogghana.com. His research focuses on serial verb construction, nominalization, historical linguistics, and Black liberation. Guys, give him a round of applause, please. I love that your children clap for you. That's so nice. Big up to his family right here. Family, can you just raise your hands really quickly? This one is like, Awesome. Big up the family. You hungry? Want some food? Okay, because we can hook you up. You're in the right place. Good to see you. All right. Next, I'm going to do Mr. Dre Taylor. Dre Taylor is an entrepreneurial visionary leading the Beyond Mountain View in Ghana. Sustainable development with condos, townhomes, homes, and Airbnb units featuring solar panels, battery backups, rainwater catchment, and earth block construction. All of them have those? Nice. Awesome. With over a decade in community development, Dre founded Nile Valley Aquaponics, showcasing his patented natural fish nourishment process. He also consults for Langston University and contributes to the USDA SARE, is it SARE program. Currently residing in Ghana, Dre focuses on project management, mentorship, and partnerships to enrich communities locally and internationally. Guys, give him a round of applause, please. Mr. Dre Taylor. Right. Okay, I'm gonna do Empress next. So Marianne Blake, also known as Empress Marina, is a wife, mother, and grandmother. An accomplished attorney at law with over 25 years of experience. She runs her own firm in New York, specializing in immigration law, assisted by her 2 children who are also practicing lawyers. As a devoted Rastafari woman, she is a member of the Rastafari Council of Ghana, the Woman Freedom Liberation League, and the Empress of Zion organization. Additionally, she is a dedicated contributor to many charities around the world. Please give a round of applause for Empress. Great job. Okay, and the next one is the most succinct one. It's very succinct. So, Dr. Talawa Adodo, pronounced it right? Okay, is a Jamaican Pan-Africanist scholar. He received his doctorate in Africology from Temple University. His primary research focuses on African history, Afrocentric theory, and African language. Give him a round of applause, please. You want to be on the panel or not? You think that's it? Okay. Wifey, if you want him to come up, he can. We don't mind at all. Aww. It's Emancipation Day, so you know, freedom for all.
No bio here.
No bio? At 2 years old, I feel like he's accomplished a lot already. Good to go. So this is our guest panelist today. You want to introduce him?
This is my son Azuka, just turned Monday, so that's it.
He is a good age. I love that he's up here. I love that your families are here for the most part, so we can talk about the subject. So my first question for you guys, and it's for everybody, is Tell me a bit about your personal journey and what exactly led you to focus on building generational wealth, if you are building it. Should we go that way? I know you're always ready, so let's start there.
Hi, Carmen. Yes, so I'm ready. For me, my parents had a very unique story that they were both born in New York. My father in Brooklyn, from parentage out of Barbados and St. Kitts, and my mother in Harlem. And they met in New York as well at Columbia University. Both my father was doing his doctorate and my mother was doing her master's. And what they came to was that, my older sister was at Uhuru Sasa, and that was what they call a freedom school that translates to Freedom Now. And in New York, you can get a lot of liberation lectures where people are talking about freedom, people are talking about what we need to do to get free and have self-determination. But in New York, everyone is dependent on the grocery stores. In New York, everyone is dependent on the water that is being piped into their homes. In New York, everyone is dependent on basically every single thing in life from the exact same people who you said you want freedom from. So you can go to 1,000 lectures about how we need to get free, but no one in New York is getting free in any way, shape, or form, for the most part. So what my parents decided to do was they wanted to move to the south, and that's what they did, and they built their own log cabin in the woods with their own hands through rain, shine, with chainsaws. These two city slickers built the entire log cabin without contractors, without any other assistance. So we had a small shack. There's nothing that's as small as that here, like period for our size. But all of us, 5 of us, my parents and then the 3 of us as children, we were all in this small shack as they built the log cabin. So for me, this is normal. Any child growing up, whatever, they always think that whatever their experience is normal. So what growing up in the woods, we always had dogs, like 4, 5, 6 dogs at a time. My parents, they grew their own food. We had our own well, and it was the most delicious water that you can imagine. They tested it, and they said that they never had any water that pure in terms of what they were able to measure there. So just in terms of generational wealth, that was my outset, that was my worldview from the outset. So of course, when I came to Ghana, we built a BB2 which is a BB2 headquarters, which is a structure that has 12 rooms. It has entirely solar, we're entirely on solar. We have 2 15-kilowatt inverters, 8 lithium batteries. So we're very good in terms of the energy. We have both a solar borehole. So that means that as long as the sun is shining from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and we could put a battery on that too, but we don't, but from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we're pumping water. And then we have a rainwater catchment system. This means if the sun is shining, we get water, and if it rains, we get water. We have, a garden where, and this is again coming from my parents as the context, that's, we have soursop, we have mango, we have, what is that in English? Plantain, we have bananas. We have tomatoes, we have, you name it, squash worm right now. We just harvested our first watermelon this morning from this crop. So, when we're talking about generational wealth, and then another thing is that it's freehold land, it's not on the lease. We actually got it before it converted to you can only lease whether you're on the land or not. So this means into perpetuity generational wealth. So the house in North Carolina where my parents moved to, and their goal was they wanted to move to the south, which is where my mother's side was enslaved. They moved to the Caribbean, which is my father's side was enslaved, and then moved here. When you build your own house, you get stuck. They get to move, but they eventually moved to Ghana, so that brought a full circle. So in terms of generational wealth, that's where I got it from my parents. Not just talking about how we need to be free, but actually demonstrating, being about what they say that they're about. So when the BB2 headquarters, we're doing something similar. We just did our biogas digester as well. So yeah.
That's really impressive. You guys don't really seem very impressed, but that was super impressive. Like super, super impressive. All right, drink. We're going in order right now. I'll spice it up later. Tell me about your personal journey and what led you to focus on building generational wealth.
Yeah, personal journey. Born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. It's right in the middle of the Midwest. Just a Black experience in the U.S. Having that, growing up as a black man, seeing, you
How come
know,
you go about Missouri accent?
it's there. But yeah, having that black American experience where, you know, half the people you grew up with died or killed, I have a brother that was killed, and so just that experience of that U.S. violence and things that come with being in the U.S. You know, I was doing some of the work as far as my brother was saying, as far as growing food. I got an orchard back home doing 40,000 pounds of food, still producing free food for people in the community. I had a greenhouse where I was growing food for free for people in the community. I have a U.S. patent on breeding insects in the aquaponic system. I was doing 35,000 tilapia. I was growing and getting the waste and using that to fertilize gardens and things of that nature. Just being free, like I said, those who feed themselves, free themselves. You know, and so being able to, you know, you're not free if somebody's controlling your food source. You know, and so, like you said, you can do all that talk you want, but if somebody's feeding you, there's no way you can possibly be free. You know, and so in doing that, you know, it came along the line of doing more. What can I do? When COVID hit, I had grocery stores calling me from 3 hours out in St. Louis because interruption in food supply. You know, and so you only have a couple days worth of food, you know, if something hits the fan in the States. And so that just is a wake-up call, like, I can't be here. You know, amongst a lot of other things that went on in the U.S., I'm not free there, and just the transactional piece of generational wealth, where the wealth we're getting, you know, we're giving away. And I can't build up America no more. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to build something up and build back. And so I divested everything I had in the U.S. And so now I'm really just building up Africa, trying to figure what I can create here in Ghana.
Fantastic. Very, very impressive and important. Impressed. Tell me about your journey that led you to building generational wealth.
Well, I've been a Rasta woman since the late 70s, 1970s. And one of the guiding principles of Rastafari was that we were going to divorce ourselves from the even otherwise system. We were not going to engage in the system. We were not going to work within the system, to build the system, to keep the system going. We were going to divorce ourselves, remove ourselves from that system. The thing is that we had not made sufficient plans, an alternate, come up with a comprehensive alternate plan to replace the system that we were divorcing ourselves from. So a lot of times we found ourselves just flailing around about the place, you know, not exactly without getting much guidance, not sure. We sort of had in mind a destination, what we wanted to accomplish, but we had no roadmap. We had no concrete plan. And so that we have now come to realize that that is that position has not served us well, and that we didn't put enough things in place. Upon realizing that, my husband and I, we started making alternate plans. We knew that we had to engage the system somehow. So after we had moved from New York in the early 80s and went to live on Bowen Hill in Jamaica, several years later, we returned to New York and I started working in the system because we realized that we needed capital. If we were going to make any headway, we were going to do what we wanted to do. To accomplish our goal, we would need capital, we would need money. And that's one of the things to, that we're Rastafari for a quarter. We underestimated the importance of money, of capital, in terms of, revolutionizing, yourself, and freeing yourself. So at the same time, you're trying to free yourself, and our economy is like, it almost seems as though those two things are in tension with each other. They're antagonistic to each other. You burn the system, but at the same time you're engaged with the system, trying to earn money so you can extract yourself from the system. So we had to walk that line, that fine line, for a long time. And in fact, I continue to work in New York as you learn from my bio. Both my children are also lawyers, and they work with me in my practice in New York because I continue to earn. Most of our money comes from what I earn outside. So, but at the same time, we're trying to put things in place here so that we know that the time will come eventually when we are completely divorced from the capitalist Western system. And so we have to, put things in place here. So towards that end, we have a farm. We have a huge farm. Right? So we also have another 15 acres, 20 acres.
What's on the farm? If you don't mind me
So we have corn, we have yam, we have salad, we have peppers, we have a number of food items. Rice, rice, coconut, we have jute plums like the jelly on the farm. So we have quite a few things on the farm. Right. So, and then up in Mountain, we have another piece of property where we're building, and we're going to do some farming there as well. So, right. So we are in the process of making ourselves as self-sufficient as possible. Looking forward to the day when we can finally remove ourselves, directly from the capitalist system. And we're doing it for ourselves, not just for ourselves. We're in our late 60s, so we're doing it for our children and particularly for our grandchildren. So we have something to pass down to them.
Good. Thank you for that. Please give her a round of applause. Right. So, Dr. Palama, is it going to be okay?
You can repeat the question for me then?
Absolutely. Tell me about your personal journey and what led you to the part about building generational wealth.
My personal journey, lots of up and down, spin around. But I would say when we started, because I'm Jamaican, but unfortunately, I grew up in, I think in my history, yeah, unfortunately, I grew up in Ku Klux Klan, so-called Canada, unfortunately. I think the context of that experience, when I was very young, maybe between 5 or 7, I feel like it was 7, I would have arguments with my parents about why we live in Canada and we couldn't live in Jamaica. That was when that caused some trouble. Trouble there, but it was continuing. So from that experience, it made me want to learn more about myself, who I am, who we are. So that's kind of what got me started. That's the shortest way I can explain it without making it too complicated. But to kind of move in on the wealth question, I think for me, when it comes to self-sufficiency, I like to look at how we think about self-sufficiency. For example, we're in Jamaica, with your partner, right? So we have these conversations about economic analysis, whether you're communist or capitalist. We never look at the profit system to answer these kind of questions for how partner is like, see, I know it's in context, but partner is like a kind of, I don't want to call it I don't want to explain, I just know it. But partner, I think, Susu is kind of what you might be familiar with here. Some type of group saving kind of system. Like I would see things like that, and then when, you're in the academia or academy, and you have these, these people talking about capitalist system versus communist system, and I'm like, well, like I said, I have nothing to learn from. So I'm very interested in how we think about a systematic part of
how we not only create wealth on an individual level, but how, we build wealth on a collective level. Because sometimes conversations about wealth, sometimes I think we confuse income and wealth. When I think of wealth, I think of wealth in a racial, cultural sense. When I think of income, I think of an individual, and oftentimes our limitations are on the plantation kind of thing. And that's kind of how I approach that. How are we thinking about it? That's really what I focus on as a theory kind of person.
Awesome.
And my son too. Yeah. That put a lot in perspective for that too. Yeah, especially him.
All right, what I found interesting is that everyone touched on the idea of self-sufficiency. And something that kept coming up as well was food. And somebody mentioned, I don't know if it was food, he said, if someone is feeding you, you aren't free. I think it was Mr. Taylor, which I found interesting. But that is how I came in with the community now, right? So not just us individually being self-sufficient, but relying on each other as a community, as a race, being powerful together. So my question is, and I guess the answer seems obvious, but that's why we have to answer the question. It's not obvious. Why is it important for us to invest in the Black community? And what is the best way to do that, in your opinion? So sorry, let me switch it up now. We start with that first. What is that? Why is it important for us to invest in the Black community? And what, in your opinion, is the best way to do that?
Alright, so every other race, in fact, so you should ask. It's ironic that you should ask this question because I was having a small discussion with my husband just not very long ago regarding the same issue. Why is it that we as a race, we have not gone further? When we know about the systemic racism that is inherent in the US, throughout the West, not just the US, the UK, throughout Europe, and even in Black run countries, right? Because the same system is just being operated, by different people, and it doesn't matter the color of the skin of the person who is the president or the prime minister, because the system is in place, and in fact it is on autopilot. So the race or the ethnicity of the person running the system is even less important. A case in point, we see, Barack Obama, when he got elected and was president of the United States, he was advanced on white man's agenda, right? Because that's the system. And if Madam Kamala Harris were to be elected as president of the United States, although she is a Black woman, or is half Black, half Indian, she will still be advancing white man's interest because it's just a white capitalist system. And it is designed to advance white people's interest at the peril of Black people. Now, every other race tend to take care of themselves. They put themselves first. But for some reason, we as Black people think that it is sinful to put yourself first. If you as a Black person, when you say, I love Black people more than I love anybody else in the world, that's not, you're a racist. You understand? But every other race puts themselves first. They spend with each other. They spend in each other's businesses. They look to increase the wealth of each other, right? Individuals. We as Black people, largely because of the way we have been socialized, largely because of what we have been subjected to, we are disloyal to ourselves. And we've been trained to be disloyal to ourselves. And in many times we are forced to be disloyal to ourselves because of the way the system is structured. You can take a very wealthy Black person in the United States, and if they were to come forward and openly and notoriously pronounce that they're only going to be doing things for Black people, things that are beneficial to Black society, pretty soon you wouldn't hear from them anymore, because they would concoct some right? And we've been forced into the role of consumers. So we are not producers, and we're not encouraged to become producers. And we don't have the wherewithal, the capital that we need to get into go into business. But we have to find a way, however small.
What
Right?
is the best way to do it?
Right. So we need to start businesses. Dr. Claude Anderson said that way back when, right? In the black, I forgot the name. Right. Black, yes. Yes, black labor white. Right. So we need to start businesses. And then we need to start supporting each other. Because let me tell you something, and it may sound simple, but a lot of times bad mind holds us back. In a big way. I'm telling you, in 2012, my husband and I, we started an internet cafe up in Somalia. And there were members of our community, I'm talking black people, Rastafari people, who said that we're not going to support us. They're going to come in. Yeah. And so, I mean, without cause, without justification, no purpose. So a lot of times, as I said, we've been taught to be disloyal to ourselves and to each other, and to not embrace each other, not to help each other earn money. The more money I can put in a black person's pocket, the better it is for me, because it lightens my load. So it behooves me to put money in other black people's pocket. You understand? And we need to learn that unity. Yes, unity is the answer, unity is the key.
Awesome. Unity is the key. Anything to add to her response in terms of how to invest in our community, or did she cover everything? Anything to add? Have you got it?
Okay. So I can touch on it just from the perspective of what I actually do, beyond, of course, theoretical, is that, for example, with Abibitumi, we actually have it so that inside of Abibitumi, there is what's called Abibitumi Mbongi. And Mbongi is a word from the Kikongo language, which translates to the public council house. And that's where everyone comes together in order to make decisions. The public council house. The equivalent in maybe a cracker system would be like a Congress or a Senate or something like a parliament. But like in a traditional society, like the elders, all the members of the community would come together in this Mbongi, which is a public council house. So inside of Abibitumi, we have this Mbongi. And before someone can become a part of the Mbongi, they have to have a mission statement. And in the mission statement, they have to say what they will do on an individual level, on a family level, on a community level, and on the national level. When we say nation, we're not talking about these neo-colonial cages or fragments, we're talking about the global black nation. And this means that everybody has to give deep thought to what they will do to advance Abibitumi black liberation through Abibitumi black power on the individual level. So you have to say, this is what I will do. On the family level. And the reason why it's necessary to have the different levels is because you have somebody who, for example, is a bachelor, not to throw shade on anyone who's a bachelor, but there's somebody who's a bachelor and is like, oh, I'm so interested in building a community, but it's like, well, marry your, mates or whoever you're with, and have children, and that's a level. So you have some people who are only interested in one level. Oh, I'm so about self-improvement. I run 10 miles, I can lift this, I can do that. And they're only interested on the individual level, but they're not interested in the community level. Or you have some people who are, have grandiose ideas about what the entire race is supposed to do, but then, again, they're missing on the family level. They're, lone wolf, lone soldier type of thing. So I think it's very important for people to one day conceptualize that there are different levels to the work for black liberation. And then it's important to also have systems, structures, and processes. So like, how do you build community? So we have a Ghana community, and then we have others who are part of it, because Abibitumi has 12,000 plus members. So you have people who are, for example, in Belgium, black people, of course, everyone has to be black, that's the thing. And so people out of Congo, and what happens is that people usually go to a place that colonizes them. So the people out of Congo go to Belgium, the people out of, Cameroon will go to France. So you have black people all throughout the world, but everyone is encouraged to do like what we're already doing on the Ghana side, which is to build community
In building community, we have 16 steps that everyone has to go through because we assume someone is conscious, but we don't know what that person knows or what that person thinks. That person may think I'm conscious, but I have a white wife, or I'm conscious, but I'm, driving a Bentley, or I'm conscious. So, they have all types of things. But this is so that everyone can get on the same page ideologically, and then we all have the same ideals, convictions, and guidelines. So I'll pause on that because I can talk longer unless we stop there. But that I'm saying that in the sense of going beyond the theoretical, oh, we should all do this, that on every level we should have something, an actual plan that we're implementing, and that's what we're doing with WBCB, for example.
Solid. Absolutely. Quick. Yes, you can clap for that.
Just to follow up on what Dr. Conlon said, I think sometimes we don't see how the micro, we don't clearly see how the micro affects the macro, how our individual choices on a daily basis affects the outcome for the entire race, right? For ourselves, for our families, our communities, but also for the entire race. Every decision we make, we should keep that in mind. I'm on a platform, and I saw someone, they made a comment about Rita Marley, saying that she doesn't do anything for black people, she doesn't do anything for Jamaicans, she's not charitable, and all this and that. No, I cannot speak to what Rita Marley has done, but I know she has done some things. I can't tell you how much she has done and how much she should be doing. But then I retorted by saying, here we are, we like to watch other people's pockets, right? But when it comes to our own, I am a member of various organizations where the monthly due is $10 a month, and people will not throw it. They will not throw it. RCG, the monthly due is 10 cities a month, and people will not contribute. So we like to point to other people and say that they are not doing when we ourselves refuse to contripute to the organization to which we belong, to pay the paltry, the very, very minimal membership dues. And if we're unwilling to do that, how serious are we about our liberation?
Good question. Solid question. All right, I'm going to move forward to the next one. Oh, this one's helpful for me, actually, in asking for myself and many other people. What advice would you give to someone, I'm going to give it to you first, so you're a little quiet. I know you have an answer for this. What advice would you give to someone who's just beginning to think about investing and building generational wealth? Like they haven't started, they're just thinking about it. What's the advice?
A lot of times when I hear generational wealth, I think in terms of somebody going out and trying to benefit themselves and their family, but they don't pass on that knowledge of obtaining that wealth, where they could possibly lose that wealth because they didn't pass on the information that they should have had. It's like this brother over here where he has his family here learning, listening to what he's doing. His brother over here have his kid here. This is being recorded so his kid can go back and watch and learn what the father is doing. This is generational wealth to me. Passing on information, passing on the ideology of this is what I'm doing it for. Not a transformation or a transaction where once I receive this wealth, you're gonna give it right back. So when I hear generational wealth, like how much do I get and who can I spend it on and all these different things where it doesn't really benefit me and my family, it's more of a personal thing. And so when I hear generational wealth, I look at it in a different context and what most people seem to think of it as. It's this accumulation of things. It's almost like a hoarder. We seem to think of people as hoarders who have 100 cats or a whole bunch of stuff in their house. They're hoarding all these things. But when we hoard money, it's a good thing. I was watching something last night, a couple of nights ago, and it was like some Narcos, Mexico or something. And he was saying, about God and money. He said, who does God give the money to? When we look at the people at the top, who has the wealth. Look at the individuals who have and what they do with the wealth. How they showcase things they do for good with that wealth they have. You know, so we have to rethink, you know, as far as generational wealth and look at collective economics, where it benefits the community, not just me, not just my family. If I'm eating good, my family's eating good, but my neighbor's suffering, what good is generational wealth? You know what I mean? So it's more of a communal thing for me, as opposed to what can I retain and keep. You know, go on these vacations and drive these fancy cars and be able to spend at will when the people around me can't benefit from it. You know, so that's when I think of generational wealth. Just think of it as a different context. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Solid. All right. I wasn't expecting that. So I'm happy you said what you said. That's good. Anybody else want to add to that? Go ahead.
I think just that for the parents, I really agree with what he said. I think it makes sense. But to add to it, like for what we do on an individual level, just to give out a bit example, when I want to, go somewhere to eat, right, for me, right, I look at who's being employed. I want to look at who owns it, because I don't tell you something to speak to me straight. If I don't see, and I see say you're married or whatever, and I don't see that this is a man, and the women they're not black, don't buy from me. Because I know that's not generational whatever. That's mulattification of whatever he's going to do. So I look at that, and then like I said earlier, the employer. Are there black people actually being employed? Then I look at the political angle. What are things that they do? Like, let's use John Rock here as an example. Big up your mom, Keboy, right? I know there's black people who are working because, unfortunately, I'm kind of in the snakes for a minute. But I know that there's black people employed. I know where food is being eaten. I know food good, the people good, the politics good. I want all that has to align. So that's just on an individual level what that looks like, and what the panelists was saying about the communal aspect. That's how you get that circle going. You have to make sure that the people who benefit. Even when I choose a place to buy, I want to make sure that it's black owned, the person owned it, and make sure it's the merit of a black person. But it sounds like a little thing that's a very serious problem. I have a whole analysis about it. I call it bedroom colonialism, so I have to watch out for that.
Solid. Go ahead.
The appropriate just starting out and looking for a place to invest. Well, right, I won't give you specifics. I mean, obviously you have to save. That's where if you first start, you have to save so that you can have some money to invest. But something that stuck with me that I heard many, many years ago, a noted cardiologist, when she was being interviewed, and they asked her, she was in her, in her 60s, and they asked her to, looking back at her life, what would she have done differently, any mistakes that she saw, that she may have, or what she would have done differently. And she said, one of the mistakes that she made was that she did not learn from the people that she didn't like. She allowed her emotions to get in the way. She said that you have to be able to work with the people who have the resources, or they possess the knowledge or the skills that you need, that you're seeking to acquire, and that is irrespective of their, their race, their ethnicity, or how you personally feel about them. She said not learning from the people that she didn't like was one of her biggest mistakes. So we need to take that under advisement. We need to, because it's a powerful statement. It resonates.
Definitely resonated with me. I tend to ignore the people I don't like, but that's just me. So guys, we talked about the why. We're gonna move into some of the how, okay? First question under the how. What are some effective investment vehicles for individuals, families, communities, whoever it may be, who want to build their wealth? What are some effective investment vehicles instead?
I think collective economics. You know, everybody's going to lack something. Somebody might have the ideology, say this is what we want to do. Somebody might be working and good at saving. Somebody might be good at accounting. You know, somebody might not be good at accounting. You don't want them watching money. You know, and so collective economics is the best vehicle, I think, believe, starting off. Because you might have an idea but don't have the capital. You know, coming from the U.S. with a credit system, you know, credit's going to be it. You know, OPP, other people's money, OPM, other people's money. You know, building a credit system, building business credit, personal credit, things of that nature to get started, where it don't require money, it just requires discipline to be able to pay your bills on time, which is, you know, you're going to have if you're trying to build wealth, is having discipline. And so those are some of the things that I think of as far as trying to build wealth, is looking at those opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities that exist out there. You just got to know how to tap into it. You know, our community, you know, you look at our community, I always say our biggest strength is our biggest weakness is our humanity. We treat people how we want to be treated, but it's not reflected in how they treat us. Even here in Ghana, you see that with other ethnicities, how they come into Ghana and only treat the people here as they want to be treated, or how they treat each other in their own community, in their home country. And so that's something we have to learn as far as our humanity is concerned, where we have to pretty much do it ourselves on our own. You know what I mean? And be like, hold up, you know, this can't go on. You can't be treating this brother like this. We got to look after each other. I'm not Ghanaian, but it's still my brother. You know what I mean? I'm African. You know, my connection, you can't put a log in a river and 400 years later get a crocodile. You know, and so, same thing. Still African, and so we have to treat our African brothers and put ourselves first. I'll leave it at that.
You're not going to leave it at that. I have a follow-up. You said a lot of opportunities exist, you just have to know how to tap into them. How do we tap into them? It's a question.
Yeah, how to tap into them is where do you spend your time, energy, and resources at? For 10 years, I didn't have a TV. You know, I was reading books, you know what I mean? And so I wasn't out watching football, doing these other things, spending my energy doing those type of things. I was educating myself. So where do you put your time and energy? If you say you want something, then you have to put that time, energy, and discipline into it. And so if you want to get wealth, there's definitely things you have to do to put yourself in the right place to get it. And so I can't be watching football, I can't be out the club, spending money, and I want generational wealth. It just doesn't work that way. You have to put your energy, time, and resources to whatever it is, whatever goal you're trying to get. So I spent time, I wanted to learn how to do farming. I went to Milwaukee to learn from Will Allen, who was doing 1 million pounds of food on 3 acres of land. That's how I learned aquaponics. I wanted to learn how to grow insects on a commercial level. I spent 2 weeks in China to learn how to breed black soldier fly larvae to breed insects on a commercial level. I was doing 1 million pounds of insects, which was composted waste. And I would use as fertilizer and an insect pellet in my food that I was growing. So those are the things where I put my time, energy, and effort into learning these things to bring it back and educate others who are interested in these type of things that I was interested in.
That's brilliant. Love that. Anybody want to add? Go ahead.
Hello. It was. So I would like to follow up on what Dr. Dre said. I'm going to keep that. We have an inside joke every time I say this, Dr. Dre. But just in terms of the collective economics, again, I'll give you like concrete examples. So again, looking at a beauty screen in Bumby, it operates also like a susu. So every month, everyone puts in, but it's not exactly like the classical susu where each month somebody gets the whole pot. what happens is that from the whole pot by consensus, we decide what to do in the pot. So in one occasion, actually, let me go back. There was a family who, and I won't mention names or go so much into people's business, but there was a family who was part of those who was putting money into the pot, and very unfortunately, their child passed away from asthma unexpectedly. So what we did out of all the money that we had, we gave 10% to deal with that. Now, we didn't even ask, do you need it, or, whatever. We're just like, we're gonna put, a very decent amount of what we've all collected just to help you. Now, that family later on, and this is a cooperative economics, later on we were looking to buy a tract of 22 acres of land. And that family was very much into crypto, so this ties into your question about what vehicles we can use. They were into crypto, and they decided to bankroll the majority. So we had money from the pot that went to the land here in Ghana, but then also they put in the lion's share of it, and it was just like out of a show of reciprocity. And the money that they put in was like multiple times over what we did, like as a token of support. But this is when you're actually operating on community and cooperative economics, that because there's trust, because you love each other, because you like each other and so forth, this means that people who are very good at Forex, people who are very good at crypto, people who are very good at digital sales. My wife just sold her first book online 2 days ago, so she's into our digital fasting. She did a 21-day water fast, and people were like, oh, you need to share your story, so she made it into a book form, and now you can download that on a YouTube. And I can say, this is also for someone who's starting out, especially if you're in Ghana. Imagine you're in Ghana dealing with the Ghana city inflation and so forth, but you have a digital product that can be in dollars. So you're sleeping somewhere, and someone just bought your book for $29.95. That's a lot of money in Ghana. People that can buy maybe some callaloo here or some rice on here. So like, in the course of what I'm saying, I've mentioned several things like crypto, forex, so forth and so on. But just saying all of that to say that when you're operating collectively, what you don't have, whether it's in terms of knowledge, whether it's in terms of a specific skill set, this person knows how to trade the Japan 225, that person knows US 30, this person knows crypto trading, that whatever it is, all of us are stronger than any one of us is, individually. So that's.
Thank you. That's it. So, first book sale, first melon, it's giving harvest season for your family, which I love. Love that. Yeah, man, of course. Go ahead.
Right. So I just wanted to jump in to talk about, in terms of funding a project or a business, that, you should utilize the bank. As the brother here said, other people's money. Use other people's money, even if you have the money in your own pocket. If you can get a bank loan at a decent interest rate, you should use the bank's money. Put that at risk rather than your own personal. You should hold on to your own personal money until you must spend it. Another piece of advice that I'd like to give, and this is something that I learned very early on in my business, is that you should apply for a line of credit when the business is good and booming. Because when the times are hard, you will not qualify for the loan. They will not give you a loan if your business is struggling. So you must apply for a line of credit when the business is good, when the books look good. Because when the books look bad, you will not be able to get any money from the bank.
Solid advice. Interestingly enough, I think maybe it's a cultural thing, but we're taught not to borrow money. Like, it's not safe, don't borrow money, but it's interesting that you're saying the opposite and obviously reaping the benefits of putting it into practice, so that's helpful. Along those lines as well, we're looking at mortgages in Ghana and around the world. The interest is smiling right now. I would like to know why, because it makes me cry when I'm looking at the interest rates. Ridiculous. And just a complete deterrent to a lot of people. So the next question is, How can real estate play a role in building wealth? I know a lot of us know the answers for most of them, but tell us something we don't know. And do you have any advice for people who don't have a lot of money? I know which advice you're going to give, Empress. People who don't have a lot of money and want to get started, they want to buy property. But tell us, what are we supposed to do?
I think real estate is a great vehicle for investing and acquiring wealth. I didn't have a lot of money doing my real estate endeavor here in Ghana. My character, which was my wealth that I brought to Ghana, from me posting online and people saying what I was doing. I had a mentoring program in Kansas City. I ran a mentor over 200 boys. I had a community greenhouse. I had a co-op with people, 150 people in my co-op. And so my character, which drove people want to invest in me as a person. It wasn't so much that I had this great idea, I had this product that was different than everybody else. It's a little bit different, sustainable, but it was my character that drove the investment where people were buying my property off plan. Something different, trying to say, okay, if I'm coming to Ghana from the US, how do I get off the system where I'm not dependent on ECG? What number do I call for ECG? I'm not going to depend on the water. I need to get my own borehole. Things of that nature where if we're coming back from the United States, how can I design where we take advantage of things that people from Ghana or Jamaica really don't take advantage of? It's a beautiful scenery that you have here in Ghana. You have a long coastline where most people who look at the coast as Ghanaian, that's where fishermen fish at. That's where they work, and they don't see it as a resort or a type of place where we can obtain back in the U.S. because of the price of living on a beach or living in the mountains where they're used to seeing the mountains. Where I see the mountains now, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. You know what I mean? And so taking advantage of what's here and utilizing that to play on whatever it is as far as real estate that's here. And so I didn't start a lot of money at all. I'm positive my bank account. And I don't even think I can really accumulate generational wealth because I'm always giving and I'm doing different things. And so, even my workers that work for me, once we get done with the project, we're buying them land and we're going to develop that land and split the profits off of the development that we do. They don't know it yet. So I said, well, along with having no debt, anything going wrong, these are the things that we're going to do. And so I can't take it with me. The only thing I can do is educate those who come behind me to do some of the same things that I'm doing. Everybody has a part to play here. I'm just playing my part. You know what I mean? And so whatever I can do to benefit everybody else, and that's my generational work, and that's what I can do. But I don't have a lot of money to start. Some people do. I did off plan for my property, so people pretty much are financing their own bill based on the trust I'm going to do, what I say I'm going to do when I'm building. And so that's a good thing where you don't use your money, you're using your own. You just come up with a plan, you come up with renderings, you get your permit, you get the land, you definitely do your due diligence, bring in the land and got it. But once you get that, then you come up with a plan because there's so many people who want to leave the United States and don't know how. Don't know anybody here on the ground, don't know the process of buying land. And so if you have somebody here in place who can help facilitate that, who's trustworthy, who can do their due diligence, then that's an opportunity here in Ghana. We have over 10,000 people here, historians, and you have a lot more people wanting to leave, especially with election coming up. So these are some of the things where you take advantage of those opportunities to help assist those who want to make that transaction.
Listen, you covered it all, Dr. J. I love that. Ooh, that was very helpful. All right. So we talked a bit about the how, talked about the why. I want to talk a little bit about the why not sometimes. So what are some of the barriers that we would face most of the times? Barriers that you yourselves have seen in building wealth, in acquiring real estate, in starting business, whatever it may be? And how do we overcome those barriers? They're like, heavy is a lot of stuff.
Bad news travel fast. And so when somebody has a bad experience in Ghana, it seems like everybody has a bad experience in here to tell it. So a lot of us striving, living our best life here, and don't plan on going back to the U.S. But those stories don't get shared as much as the bad stories get shared. They take that bad story and run off with it. Those get shared on social media. They travel fast. So just being an example to say, hey, we are here, we are thriving. People wouldn't imagine that we come together. The Rastafari community, the African American community, we're here, bridging the gap, we're having conversations. People can't imagine that. People can't imagine that we're all living here with no issue. It's always something. They don't like us here. That travels a lot. Like it's over with 8 different languages here in Ghana. And it's like we all got together saying we're not going to collectively like the people that come from the States. But they had a meeting. They said we're not going to like these people. But a lot of them haven't had interactions with us. And so just the crazy ignorance where there's ignorance on both sides of the water. Just education that we both need to have, these conversations that we're having here, helps out, bridge those gaps in education. So that's the why not, I guess.
Sometimes there are challenges when you are trying to work, collectively as well. So what Empress Marina had mentioned, we had a situation where here's someone who says that they're interested in building community, but where it comes to putting 10 CDs in a box, I can't stand that 10 CDs. But then you see the person the next week buy a refrigerator for himself. Can't spend 10 CDs to put into the pot, but we're saying let's all do something collectively just to build trust. Like not even like a huge amount, let's just put something into a pot to build trust. I can't do that. But then the next time you see the person, they buy a car for themselves, then they buy a table. So, you have people who may give lip service. That's what my father Baba Kamal called contrary diction. Contradiction is like contrary diction. But, they'll say one thing, but now this becomes a thing where, everybody's meeting collectively, and this person never wants to come to the meeting. They want to go off and smoke weed. I know we got weed smokers, so I'm not saying anything about versus smoking. But when we're all meeting about what we're doing collectively, he wants to go off and hang out at the estuary and hang out at the waterfall. But then as soon as we say, we have 22 acres, and we have someone who wants to invest $500 million in the work that we're doing, that person is the first one at the meeting, and they want to chair the meeting and say what we need to do and what we don't need to do. The person we never saw before when it's the actual work, so it's basically like the grasshopper versus the ant. When it's the actual hard work of building and growing together and so forth, they don't, you don't see them. But when it's harvest time, now they want to start, chewing with everybody else. So I say, like, sometimes those types of things where people have a lot of residue of the individualism, a lot of residue of just being, some people of poor character, that can have a ripple effect on everybody else. Because now, as we're all working together, now this becomes like a bump in the road, this becomes a thing that we have to now overcome, and we're still pushing forward, but we probably could have gone even further, or at least been in a more advantageous position, if not from the people who are smiling in your face, but all the time they want to take your place, they're backstabbers.
Rob, any other barriers you guys want to discuss? Covered, sorted, signed, sealed, delivered. Love that. All right. So, going back kind of to the how. So, Mr. Taylor, Dr. Dre, you mentioned you didn't have a TV for 10 years. You were reading, learning. I want to talk about financial literacy. What are some of the resources, places that we can tap into to understand it a bit better? Yeah, man. And also, how early should children be learning this stuff? So the kids are here, some of them. And I want to know about that. Let us know. So I'm going to start with you, and Dr. Palama, being quiet.
Repeat the question.
Where can we learn about financial literacy and how early should children be learning?
Where can they learn? I say as early as they can talk. Just little, very simple things with children, like, thing, obviously, and then knowing something can be taken away if there's less, something can be added if there's more, something can be shared and can be provided. It all sounds very simple, but I think simple things like that give you like a foundation for the rest of it. In terms of where you can learn about financial literacy, I think being around people that are serious. Like, I was kind of being low-key about this, but I'm also a member of BB2, one of the 12,000 or 13,000. Yeah, going on 13, wait, 12,999. Just probably 13,000 on account soon. So, doing things like that, because I think when you're doing those things and your children see it, they pick up on things, especially mine, because I'm fast, but I'm fast. And I start to realize he starts to do things I don't even realize I do. So I think environment is a big part of it. I know Vladimir touched upon it with his, his family, what they have done, in that sense. So I think environment is a learning apparatus, and I think just basic counting and division and stuff. But also from my own experience, I think a lot of my financial understanding of finance came from my father. He was he was a salesperson. He went from doing AV, like audio-visual installation, that was big in the early 90s. Then he transitioned to, home renovation. So you can do your bathroom, you can do your plumbing, you can do all of that. I didn't get that skill, but he has that. But I understand, when it's time to stay in something, when it's time to get out. But also for my grandmother, I think managing money. It's funny what Empress said about credit and how I used to see my grandmother going to the bank with her every day. It made me not intimidated of money. So when I see certain amounts, I can treat big amounts like they're small. So there's a mental aspect of not being afraid of money. Because sometimes when we hear money, right, we get kind of scared when we hear a certain amount, even if it's 10 cities, Empress. So I just get scared. But I didn't realize until I got older how much that influenced the way I deal with money. Because sometimes my wife, but sometimes she'll look at me and she'll like, this X number, I know once I'm not past this number, I'm good. So that's one way of looking at it.
Thank you. Okay, quick one, because we're wrapping up now.
Quick one.
Right.
So I'll start off with the second part in terms of what age to introduce their children to financial literacy. Some of you may know my daughter Emma Campbell. She started her own website where she was teaching children how to prepare food at age 4, going on 5. She started with fruit kebabs and avocado pudding with carrot in it, and had those videos, had her own website where she would post her homework assignments in P, it was digital products so people could download the videos and so forth. So, this was a start for her. Now she's an employee of BB2, so anytime she's the one who sends out the newsletters. So I pay her 500 CDs per month. Now she doesn't have any expenses or bills, so I don't even know what she does with 500 CDs per month. But just in terms of literacy, and then she also has her own catering business where the BB2 conference last year she catered for hundreds of people over 3 days. So she, along with my sister Nataki, who is a partner in the business, they're doing a lot. My daughter Kosia has started Kosia's Crunchy Creations, that's her popcorn business. So that one is launched. So and my son is into robotics. We're trying to see how he can monetize. Like you give him anything like 1,000 pieces in an hour, the thing is moving around, talking and everything. So we're gonna find a way to make that into a business. Everybody's talking about AI and robots. To the other part of the question, just in terms of financial literacy, I'd also say environment. There's another group on the BB2 that's a private group, but the head of the group, or the one who convened it initially, he's always bringing people who do 3D printing as an investment vehicle, people who are dealing with agriculture as an investment vehicle, people who have block machines as an investment vehicle where we're all putting in and buying block machines, crypto mining machines. So that's how I got into crypto mining, is he had invited people in, and then all of us as a group got a discount where we're hosting the Bitcoin miners, and we're all in the pool. So being around people who are doing various things related to finance and financial literacy is very helpful.
Solid. When is it? Who is it?
Yeah, right. So there is online a gentleman by the name of Dr. Boyce Watkins, the Black Business School. He teaches financial literacy to Black people. Because we've been, yes, Dr. Boyce Watkins, very good. He also has a program for children to teach children about money and the value of money and how to use money. And I bought the program for my grandchildren. Because, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds, but it's never too early. I'm also a saver, and I've managed to impart that skill to my daughter, my son, however, not so much. So, but saving is very good, good to learn, to teach children to save from a very early age, because it's an important skill. You can find ways to make savings fun. Years and years ago, I read a book by a woman by the name of Jean Chasky, and she taught me how to save $1 a day. You sort of, you make the game, you play with yourself. So, I started with that. $1 a day, and I moved to $2, then $5, then $20, you understand? And you just keep going up and going on. But it is challenging, and you have to find ways to make it creative and fun and not laborious. It is also good to have an automatic savings from your account, your checking account, to into your savings, either whether once a week or once a month, but do that type of automatic saving where it is almost painless saving. But it's important to save. That's a critical thing that I think is lacking, in society.
Thank you, Chris. You have a quick one too?
I'm definitely a product of learning how to save. As is my grandmother, she really taught me. Yeah, she said me. I learned to save. Everybody else, I was the one who got that lesson.
All right, so we're moving to questions. I think it's going to be like 3 max questions. But while they're thinking of the questions, I want you guys to give me 10 second rapid fire advice, financial advice, investment advice, whatever it may be related to the topic. So you can think of your 10-second response now. I'm serious. And we're gonna move. Who should go first? You wanna go first? 10 seconds. 10.
Black, and black. Make sure to say it black.
Funding is easier to get than you think. Capital is always looking for new investment. So a lot of times we think that it is you are the one coming begging for capital. But capital is always looking for investment, because money doesn't make money when it sits still. It has to move, right? So capital is always looking for some place to invest.
Life is short. Good things come for those who wait, all of those things left from those who hustle.
Wow.
Come to the BB2B conference so you can meet people who know how to do all of the things that we've been talking about, from crypto to real estate to everything else. That's September 6th through the 8th at Ekrapim Mampong. So everyone, you can go to conference.bb2b.com. We're stronger together than any of us are individually. And this is a meeting of the minds of people from Guadeloupe, Haiti, UK, Burkina Faso, you name it. So come to the BB2B conference.
if you want to get your financial literacy on.
He said here.
This is up the
There.
mountain.
And it's online as well.
It's up the mountain.
All right, guys. Questions for the panelists?
This side.
And questions?
Yes.
No questions? I knew you had a question. I could see it on your face. Come get the mic. Come sit.
Yes, after I
Entrepreneur. Superstar.
What inspired you to start Emancipation?
Get to raise this mom. So I don't speak to my daughter in English, so I'm speaking to the rest of you to answer the question. We only speak Chi and Yoruba and Wolof and English. But to answer the question for everyone else in English, it was my parents, my mother and my father, and I always saw Bibi Tumi as a marriage of the two. My father is very much about Black liberation, and my mother is very much about culture and spirituality. So Bibi Tumi was, even the word itself is the way that we can use our own culture, our own language to talk about Black power and Black liberation. So I always saw it as the marriage of my parents' ideologies, and let me not say, they have, I would say, the same ideology, but their perspectives and their approach on the ideology of an all-Black space. And I think about it in terms of, I grew up, you'll see sci-fi movies where it's supposed to be the year 2182, and there's nothing but crackers. Like they're projecting into the future, like this is what the future is gonna look like. There are no Black people, and they're all holding hands, they're smiling, and that's, yeah, this is great. Black people are no longer here. And they don't say it like that, but like when you look around and this is set in the future, there's not a single Black, or there's one Black person who's blind, and that's it. Then you're like, hold up, I'm seeing. So Bibi Tumi was created as a digital space that's all Black. And this is our vision of what the world can look like if there aren't any white people in the world. And even the Bibi Tumi conference is a space where you can get a view of what Black liberation may look like, because you'll have children playing in their safe, they're not worried about getting shot down by police officers. You don't have any white females with their fur flowing in the wind and they're telling us it's beautiful. And all those things that are out there, that this is like a safe space. So Bibi Tumi as a digital space is a safe space where Black people don't have to worry about Master Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook jail, I call it cracker book jail, and then also we have the physical space, which is again, Ty and Kemet, we're making Kemet Black again. So that's the reason why, is to actually implement what it is that we say that we're about. If we said we should do for self, then why are we on cracker media platforms? Let's have our own physical, digital, spiritual, and in every single way possible.
All right. I just wanted to know, I felt a little offended earlier when you were like, you have to break it down in English for us because we only speak English. But it's okay. It's like, we speak 5 languages. All right, guys. Any other questions for the panelists? Any other questions? Yes?
Go to mommy. Mommy is calling you. See mommy there?
No other questions? Yeah, ma'am. Coming to you.
I'm not sure it's a comment or a question. I think it's both. And Dr. Karen Nelson and I came to Ghana to do a space conference, and I had the privilege of doing a part of the session in Cape Coast Castle last night, the opening litany for the ancestors. And so I have to say, first of all, I'm a little bit discomfited by the conversation around financial wealth today in particular, partly because the whole construct of wealth and wealth in the Western context in which we're embedded comes out of the building of Black bodies as chattel slavery. And so I think the gentleman did talk about generational wealth,
a little bit more than individual wealth consumption. But as I heard the conversation into the future, and the future we want, I'm wondering to what extent, collectively or even in Ghana, looking at the economics departments, for example, financial departments, that there's a conversation about the reality that given what is happening with, say, the BRICS and the potential dislocation of the US dollar versus other dollars, the whole financial system as we know it might be quite different. So, if it is that Africa has all the mineral wealth on which the artificial financial system is constructed, what should we be thinking about then? As the young lady said, individuals who have individual choices versus the collective, and what is their responsibility as individual academic scholars, business people, entrepreneurs, to really look at new thought around finance, wealth construction, and the future that really is about emancipating, full emancipation. I'd like to say emancipation is still coming. So perhaps we can look at it from another perspective. Here we are in Ghana, where the wealth gap is very significant. First of all, do we need to reconstruct what a future of well-being looks like? What is that? Is it really about financial wealth? Are there other instruments we might want to look at constructing to make a better life for more people? Thank you.
Okay, let me close up.
You guys got the question?
How will I go?
No. Can we summarize it quick in like 5 seconds? What's the question?
My question is, I'm assuming also so how might you as individual entrepreneurs work with the economic systems or economic academicians to rethink what is the function, the metric of well-being, as opposed to wealth as defined by the World Bank and others, which allows Ghana to have this huge gap, this income inequality. Are there any persons here working on redefining what does a successful state look like so that we don't keep on talking about financial well-being and wealth just in the context of what it is today, given that we as Black bodies are the foundation of the wealth system that we're now embedded in? How do we transform that?
Gone through Dr. Talwa.
Sister's question, I think for me we must be mindful, given that context, that's the same reason why I think when we think of wealth, wealth is a racial question. Wealth cannot be, you can't have a wealthy Black individual and poor Black people, right? So wealth has to be thought of in that sense. So wealth is what can you do for your community, essentially. And income has more to do with what we do as individuals dealing with this plantation, colonial background, whatever you want to call it. That distinction, I think, is a fundamental one. Maybe I need to refine it a bit, but that's kind of the rough sense of how I deal and approach that issue.
In terms of the redefining aspect, for me, the great work has been going on for thousands of years and it really hasn't changed. So if you look at classical chemists, for example, you would always find that anytime foreigners are trying to come into the land of Black people, which is what Kemet actually means, we would drive them out. A case in point would be the Hakao Kasu called the Hyksos. If we understand that Kemet is the land of Black people, then we can look at the lessons from classical times of any time those foreigners are trying to encroach in the land of Black people, our well-being is centered around restoring Ma'at. So Ma'at, they usually translate that as truth, justice, righteousness, order, balance, harmony, reciprocity. I think it's deeper than that, but there's a text called The Prophecy of Nefertiti, where it talks about these foreigners will come into the land of Black people and a ruler named Amadi will rise up, and he will cut them down with his flame and cut them down with his sword. And it says, then Ma'at will return to her seat, while Ishbet, that is chaos, is driven away. What's significant about looking at classical understandings of Ma'at, you're saying well-being, I would say, Ma'at in the sense of that balance and so forth, is that we also would build walls to keep them out. So the purpose of studying history isn't necessarily, oh, look at our past glory. It will be, what's the contemporary equivalent of those walls? And do we have those walls? And if not, then let's look at the uranium in northwestern Niger. What would be the modern day equivalent of the walls that we used to have that would keep them from taking that uranium? Let's look at the blood diamonds in Sierra Leone and Liberia. Let's look at, also the coltan in Eastern Congo. Let's look at the oil in Southeast Nigeria. That if we really understood that this is Kemet, or in Chi Abibiman, or in Yoruba Adulawa, all of those words all mean the land of black people, then it comes down to, how do we restore Ma'at? Ishbet is when our enemies come in and encroach on our land. So how do we restore Ma'at in the sense of making this once again the land of black people? So I think that the well-being we're looking for comes from our enemies not stealing our land and killing our people and raping and murdering and lobotomizing and sodomizing and all the things that we know that they have done, that they're doing right now, and they plan on doing in the future. So, ultimately restoring Ma'at is building up that black power where they do it because they can. So how do we take away their ability to do it? And I think that in our pockets, that's what we're doing. We connect those pockets together, and then we make it the whole continent, we make it the whole black world, and we take it to solve the #1 problem on the planet Earth.
Yeah, I like that solution. That was good. If Empress is clapping, it's a good sign, okay? All right, everybody, we're gonna end our panel right there. Thank you so much for being present. Thank you to the panelists for your contributions, not just here, but always in life. We appreciate you. We love you, as the Rastas would say. I want to have the Campbell family come up now for an unveiling. Thank you so much, panelists. You can stay. Professor Campbell. Campbell family, come on up. Guys, you can give them one round of applause. Thank you, and everybody's sleeping. Thank you, guys. Campbell family. All right, handing over to Mr. Campbell.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're not finished yet. So we have a presentation to make. Usually we have a hero's wall outside, and so we have a new hero that we're going to mount on our wall, and we want the Cameron family to present it. Okay? I don't know what the program is. I'll do whatever the program tells me to do. So, some of you may or may not be familiar with our father, Baba Kamal Kamba, who is, for us, everything. And one way that he defined himself was a solutionary, someone who wanted to solve the #1 problem on the planet Earth, and that is the problem that troubles black people all throughout the planet Earth. Baba Kamal Kamba, one of the reasons why I have always respected him, I've grown up around a lot of very famous people. My parents had a bookstore and a cultural center, so we had a lot of very famous people, a lot of very famous speakers, a lot of historians, you name it, all of them came. But one thing that I always respected about Baba Kamal, and that's something that I alluded to in the previous panel, was that he was someone who was very much about being about what he says that he's about. he's not the one who's trying to grab every mic and trying to do whatever. That if he says that we should support black people, then he's doing that in every single area of his life. And if he says that, you know, we should do for self, if he says that we should have our own water, he will have already had his own well before he's telling everyone else that they need to do it as well. So Baba Kamal is the most sincere black man I've ever known, the most genuine black man that I've ever known, and the most loving black man that I've ever known, in terms of not just his love that he showed to his family, but to all black people. And it's to the point, I remember one time my car broke down. I was driving from, I think it was Wisconsin to North Carolina, and my father asked me, where are you? And I told him where it broke down, and he called somebody who told me all the way to Raleigh, North Carolina. It was because he had done so much for black people that anywhere along the route, all the way from Wisconsin to North Carolina, no matter where I broke down, there's somebody who he wrote a recommendation letter for. There's someone who he got their child out of prison. There's somebody who he did something for, and he could always, you know, say, my son, you can call this person, and that person would come up. So I'm going to keep it short, but again, what I really wanted to say, that Baba Kamal lived his life as a model, as the gold standard, as the magnificent one, and he truly lived a legacy for us, and through him we'll make sure that his name lives on eternally. At the Emancipation conference that we mentioned, we have a documentary about his life that will be premiered. If you do a search for his name online, Kamal, K-A-M-A-U, Kambam, you'll read a lot because he was very well known, and he, at one point in time, was probably the most hated black man in the United States of a murderer. But what I found is that their heroes are our enemies, and our heroes are their enemies. So Baba Kamal was somebody who was very brave. He stood very steadfast in the face of adversity, and even more so, he showed us how to be a shining example of not just a black man, but a black-nificent man. That he was more than magnificent, he was black-nificent, and he continues to shine as our black-nificent, shining example of manhood. And Nataki, who is my older sister, also wants to say something.
So everybody keeps saying that.
It's okay. It's okay.
We should be thankful that we have another ancestor, but it is very hard. And I've said this repeatedly, that Baba Kamal Khan has set the standard so high for what it means to be a black man, a black father, a husband, a teacher, someone who strives for knowledge and self-improvement, and someone who lives humility. And I say it was hard. It is hard being his daughter. And I even look at his grandchildren and think it is hard to live in a world when you've seen an example of someone who just is the epitome of everything that is good. Someone who lived every day, he was the same in public and in private. You know, in a family where there was so much love and support. And I am very thankful.
I see.
More love.
Our sister, Dr. Sharita, who also experienced this, I want to acknowledge her father today for all that he did for our people as well. acknowledge this is the anniversary of his transition as well. But I am thankful to all of the people all over the world. I get messages, calls, emails every day from people who say he changed my life. I became a father because of what he did. I do things in my community because of who he is, and I'm striving to be a better person because of the example he set, and I woke up and became conscious because of his example. So I'm grateful that there are symbols like this one that will hang in Ghana so that more people can recognize and just honor and aspire to the example that he gave for us. All right, thank you so much to the Kamau family. I know Kamau will be with us always, so thank you for that. And we'll have him here, we'll be honoring him.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to let you know that it's an honor to put Baba Kamau on our wall. We're not just celebrating the heroes that have gone a long time in history, but we're celebrating the heroes that have been here with us and are making impact today. So, we are honored to have Baba Kamau on our heroes wall at Jama. That's it. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, before you guys go, Madam would like to say something.
The portrait is going to go in the garden. We would have ideally done it tonight if it had not been raining, but it's showers of blessings, so we will still put it up, and we'll be going on to the next segment. Whilst that is going on, we're going to put it up so that it's in place. It's a waterproof canvas, so it will take its place on tonight.
Don't leave that, ladies and gentlemen. We have Naya Biggie for you guys. We have a Naya Biggie chant. We're going to do it right here, right at the front. So please have a seat, and we'll be here small time, and then we can go. Yeah?
Obed.
Stop it. We should end this, right?
Can we send? No. It's not.
So, Jabi,
You want to do it
we
outside?
want to do it outside. Then Ayabingi can go
You can
outside.
do it outside.
Yeah, it's better outside.
So it's no longer raining, ladies. It's no longer raining, so we can go outside for Naya Bingy.
How do you end this?